Me again. I'm back. I don't know if this will be a second part, most likely, because the first part was about 18 minutes, so this will probably be part two. And I left the other one, making a comparison about taking score and how that relates to love too. I mean, loving somebody isn't about taking score all the time. I mean, because that's a losing option. Love is just an extension of friendship in a way, because to really be somebody's friend, you have to be honest with someone. And in order to have some kind of value in that honesty, you have to be self-critical of yourself as a person. And that's something that limits me quite a bit, because I put a lot of work into myself as a person, because this is who I am. My body's my temple. My mind is essentially my existence in some ways, right? I mean, if I didn't have a mind, I'd still be here, but what good would it be? We wouldn't be productive animals, right? We would just be producing, and we could die off based on any catastrophe or event. Our ability to think our way out of those situations is what helps us prevail in circumstances. But to take away that ability to employ measures for individuals to survive in society, you think about that. You don't expect the government to love you, right? You expect another individual to love you, right? What you expect the government to do is to respect your individual choices, right? So in a way, the government is supposed to love us, okay? They're not supposed to rule over us, right? I don't mean love like an affection that you would have for your spouse or your partner or your mate, however you want to classify your situation, right? But you have that right to individual choice, even in that situation. If you love somebody, that's a sacrifice. The question is, how much sacrifice is there? You can't say that you want to be a partner and then rule every decision. If people are going to be honest with each other, some people are smarter than others. And the biological attraction between men and women should not be trampled on because of that. But based on what I can tell as an objective observer, women and men are having a very difficult time. People think I have a difficult time. I'm solid in who I am as a person. Okay? And I know what's good for me, and I've walked away from a lot. That doesn't say anything other than my ability to walk away. Nobody knows nothing about me. So they could take a little snippet of my life and see how I perform, right? But being precipitous for any human being, man, woman, or however you want to classify yourself, it's not a good thing, because human beings are predators. We're all predators. Even the nicest people are predators in some ways. They don't understand that, because we all have to do what we need to do, right? So when a group of people get together, even though they might have the same values, when those values impede upon the individual, that group of people become a predator against the individual rights of another person, right? Same thing in a loving relationship. Now, listen, I said in my other video, I've talked to a lot of people in my life. I understand how some of these relationships have worked out for people, and I approach life in the way I approach it, and I don't have to explain it to anybody, but, I ain't no virgin, honey. That's for damn sure. The COVID making it really hard, though, on a man like me. And that's why I always wanted a mate, because these are the times when you really need someone. That's the whole point. And if you get to the point where you're not happy, that's where honesty comes in. I mean, you cannot use control over somebody else by being dishonest, right? But sometimes that seems to be the only way out. Let's give you an example, I mean, you got two people, they're in a sexual relationship, they love each other intensely, something goes wrong for some reason. Let's say physicality isn't there for whatever reason. And the other person has needs. Does that other person have to sacrifice, right? What they're entitled to as a human being for the rest of their life based on their contract. Or does their partner let them out of their contract? Or do they stay together and one's, not performing, the other one is getting it on the side piece, right? Which is dangerous, people, I mean, if you're going to get a side piece, you should get a steady one, right? I mean, don't be... Anyways, listen, just words of advice. People might not think I know much about things, but listen... Some people will do anything. And they're very nice people. But when you start getting the chemistry going and things like that, you know. So what's wrong with just playing ball a little bit, especially in a situation like this? The fact that you're not precipitous should not be looked at as some kind of insufficiency on your part. If the other person who made the proffer, right, can't just let the other person, quiet a little bit before, that's not a rejection. No. That's not a rejection. That's not a disinterest. It's just like, hey, let's, what? I mean, when you measure... like, some time together, see how people, see the way I view people is I could see what they're doing. I know the scenarios they're in, and like I said, they communicate these scenarios in the best way they can. You just have to be able to pick up on them. And by the way, that's what makes a good spy. Just saying. But sometimes being a good spy also means that, you have to be very careful with other people. And, you learn that maybe that's just a good attitude for everyone. Maybe that's what good community standards are about, But hey, if a man or a woman can't get it together... because society is trying to push a narrative that I saw develop over the years against men like myself. That somehow we should be viewed as incompatible to a gentlewoman. That somehow because... our manliness needs to be used in ways against other men or to conduct business in society that we cannot or we should not benefit from what tenderness a woman has to offer. That we should be looked at skeptically. The betas just filled in that void, didn't they? Like I said before, maybe that's why there's a lot of young dudes that don't have a sperm count. Just saying. Anyways, it is what it is. You know, I was talking to this cab driver the other day. He's telling me that, oh, yeah, well, they're getting a side piece. You know, they keeping the guy at home and they're getting a side piece. And I'm like, yeah, well, what good does that do me? I mean, in the long run. I mean, if it's just about sex, that could be had. Well, you know, there's more to a human being than just sexual pleasure. You know? And, but, you know, there's segments of society that put a lot of focus on that. They put their identity on it to the point where now it's like, hey, I'm this, I'm that. You know, there's no privacy at all. It's like everybody's got to wear a billboard on their hand or some kind of wristband to say what the hell they are to attract whatever it is they want. I mean, it's just like going to a store, right? So you can purchase it, right? But you can't purchase love and affection from someone, you know? And that's where, you know, I left off on the last video with score. Making a comparison between, you know, I don't take score in friendships. If a person's kind, that will be their friend. I will do what I have in my capacity to help them if necessary. I don't need nothing from them. On occasion, if I had a problem, I mean, hey, if you're my neighbor down the street, I'll help you out. You don't have to do nothing for me. But if you're going to be a jerk, you know what I'm saying? And you're just going to ignore me like, you know, you're just the King Tut of the street or whatever. I won't be bothered with you. And don't mess with me. You know? But, you know, people need to be a little more insightful as to how they may get themselves into certain jams. And I tried to get out of this one, so I'm going to have to still keep dealing with them. And the absurdity will come out on its own, regardless of whether they make me pay a price or not. I didn't do anything, right? Anyway, getting back to love, the way I see it, of course, there's different levels, right? But it's not about servitude. If your mate is ill, of course, you love that person. But to be given a list of chores, listen, I've had a boss before. I don't come home to a boss, you know. And that's what me and this cab driver were talking about. You know, when we grew up, you know, it's like, don't want to come home to more contentious behavior. You know, I mean, we'll deal with situations, but, you know, casting blame and all this when we're supposed to be partners working something out, you know, is not something that a guy like me or dudes that were raised like me appreciate or want to be involved in. It just causes too much stress, you know? Anyways, so, you know, when you make a choice of a friend or love, right? So, can you be a friend and still love somebody and have sex with them or whatever, right? You know, I can't answer that question. That's an individual question. My opinion is, listen, it's not going to do you any good to have sex with a person that's just based on your pure lust for that individual. That's nature calling. We all run into that, right? And it's a beautiful thing, right? But, you know, the practicalities of life sometimes mean that we have to be a little bit more selective than that. And in this day and age, you can't even really enjoy those kinds of dalliances without jeopardizing your existence. People need to take that into consideration when they start looking at a man like me. I think about those things. And the fact that I could control my behavior does not mean there's any kind of weirdness. I tell people what my level of affection is. I like to be nice to people that I like. They should not be afraid to like me. I'm not going to, and by that I mean women, should not be afraid to like me. If I like you, I'm going to be nice to you. You know? Why not? Maybe you like me sometime. Anyways. So, I think I made my point on that. I don't really have a whole lot more to say today. I ended up getting an appointment to get my ID, so it's going to be a while. These people they don't have the population here to justify that wait time. When I could go to a state like Virginia, Massachusetts, New York, wherever, on the East Coast and get my ID done in the same day. But I got to wait. Anyways, okay. So, if you're in a loving relationship or you're deciding whether you want to try to, learn about someone because you're available for love, right? Let them think, and, it's all about thinking free and being free. You can't make somebody love you. You can only let them know that you are open to it. And, if you could be friends and still have that passion, that's an elixir for a really good life with someone. Till next time, think free and be free.